Detroit: Become Human is an interactive cinematic game developed by Quantic Dream. It creates an immersion gaming experience through motion capture and stunningly realistic graphics. The story is set in the future city of Detroit, which has become the city for production of advanced humanoid service robots known as androids. While androids are being mass-produced, their self-awareness is rising. They are thrust into struggle for identity and liberation. Players can navigate through the intricate storyline by playing the roles of three protagonists, Connor, Kara, and Marcus. Explore divergent pathways and outcomes in distinct perspectives. The memories of my first encounter with Detroit: Become Human, it was during those COVID-19 lockdown days, when my only companions are my potted plants and anxiety. The reality and the world outside feel like a distant dream. My friend recommended me this game, and I was quickly blown away by the rich and powerful emotional experience. The emotional connection and empathy with the characters breaks the emotional isolation that I had been numbed by the lockdown reality, and this sparked my interest in these questions. What is the magic of a video like Detroit: Become Human that creates a gateway between virtual and reality and provides the players with certain emotional experience? And how the game mechanics works to bridge emotions between players and the game characters? In my search for these answers, I came across a lecture by Will Wright, the mastermind behind The Sims and The SimCity.
At any rate, so a few thoughts on storytelling. First, I want to tell you why I hate stories that my computer tries to tell me. This has always been like a holy grail when it comes to computer entertainment, is how we make interactive stories, because stories kind of been the model. Movies really are almost what we've been looking at as kind of our heritage. So I want to talk just a little bit really briefly first about the nature of story. First of all, before we get to story, the way I look at the world is as a simulation. That there are all these things happening, and there's a state of the world. And, a lot of these things cascade into the next state of the world. This is kind of how computer simulation works.
Will Wright said that, "I never felt pride or guilt watching a movie, yet games draw from a different palette than other entertainment." Imagine being more than just a spectator, having the power to steer the story, to change its course in the gaming realm. The highly engaging and interactive nature of video games offers a unique and emotional experience for the players to deeply connect with characters, something that movies and novels can replicate. An intriguing game is composed of a series of interesting choices. The game mechanic of Detroit: Become Human interweaves players' choices and actions in a narrative fabric, considering how these can influence outcomes, feedbacks, and rewards. It pulls you into the story by making choices and showing them on a timeline at the end of each chapter. The visual representation of your decisions reminds you that some choices might seem inconsequential, but they still have an impact, and you should be clear about consequences of your actions. With tons of choices for players to make throughout the gameplay, from trivial decisions that you might face in your real life all the time, to major turning points that could result in a character's death, every decision counts. Do you choose to steal clothes from the laundry line to keep Alice warm and safe, or do you uphold your principles and rough it out in the Cholo factory? And will you choose to guide the Android community in its fight for freedom, even though it may lead to failure and sacrifice? Detroit: Become Human pushes you to confront yourself and confront these profound issues like existentialism, sexism, violence, and racial problems, moral dilemmas, and all the topics you might choose to overlook in your real life by making these cruel choices in a limited amount of time. And over time, these choices weave together and pull you deeper into each character's individual journey. The choice system provides the player with freedom to choose their virtual journey, a non-linear experience that doesn't just unfold in front of you, but shaped by every decision you made. It's not about good or bad, it's about the experience, and with each choice leading to a different ending, the storyline simulation of reality provides an immersive gaming experience. It fosters the players an emotional and practical understanding of the real world, responsibilities, and accomplishments, as your actions mold the narrative at every turn, just like how reality works. With similar level of control and immersion experience, Detroit's mode of emotional feedback provides a completely different experience from the freedom offered by open-world games. Take Grand Theft Auto for instance. The players can unleash chaos and kill any unlucky bystanders, which I've done hundreds of times too, and get timely and thrilling feedback through virtual dress crossing of the dangerous and forbidden characters and behaviors. And Detroit's game mechanics invite players to resonate with emotions and humanity behind androids with different social identities, whether they are playing the roles of killers or rebels. Balancing the subtle and delicate emotions while maintaining the thrill of the game is a challenge in game design. This multifaceted narrative structure not only encourages thoughtful decision-making, but also amplifies emotional engagement with role-playing and direct dialogue between players and the characters, ultimately creating a deeply immersive gaming experiences. Detroit introduces role-switching element between chapters. This multi-perspective design enables players to experience the same world with different lenses, showcases interrelated perspective and simulated empathy for diverse groups. This narrative approach reminds me of The Cloud Atlas, which also tells the story of different characters by switching shots and timelines, and reveals the connection between each other's fate and significance in history as the plot progresses. For interactive games, the intrinsic connection of the characters can be more intuitive. The multi-perspective role-playing also presents an interlocking plot where lives of humans and androids intertwined. It enhances the player's emotional engagement and investment in the story, allowing players to literally step into the shoes of the character, understanding their struggles, feelings, or dilemmas. It also like a shared experience, and in that experience, me as a player also participate in their pursuit of freedom and identity. What really impressed me about the emotional interaction design of Detroit Become Human was its innovative user interface, which provides a unique way for players to communicate directly with the characters. Within the interface, Chloe, who is same model as Kara, isn't just a digital entity or graphics, but a companion who engages the player in private, intimate, and insightful conversations. And it's more than just an exchange of words. These dialogues develop a deeper level of engagement with the digital characters, building a strong emotional bond that's hard to accomplish in video games.
Are we friends? I agree. There's no reason a human and a machine can't be friends, right?
A one attempt in collection of multiple endings with irresponsible choices, I played towards an ending which Kara and Alice didn't survive. When I returned to the interface, I saw Chloe look straight into my eyes. The questioning and the sorrow in her eyes just hit me, and at that moment, I experienced what Will Wright talked about, a deep sense of guilt in the game for the very first time.
You let Kara and Alice die. How could you do that? You could have saved them. Remember, the lives of these androids are in your hands.
The design dissects and reconstructs the work on the emotional level, incorporating active communication and facial expression capture that triggers emotional recognition. Now, the specifics and details of the storyline might have faded over time, but the immersion, the strong emotional connection I experienced in the game, and how I was moved when I was drawn into the narrative, the overwhelming feeling of being part of something meaningful, the player will never forget the feelings that the game brings.